If you're thinking about franchising your business, the truth, the reality in both time and dollars, it's going to cost you more money than you think. So what do you budget for franchising your business? How much do you budget? And how do you go about the process? Well, it's all going to depend on how you enter the franchise world, how you get to market, and what your marketing plan is ultimately going to be. So beyond vague estimates and vague numbers, in this video, we're going to discuss the franchising process and give you specific numbers, specific estimates of what you should be budgeting for franchising your business. Okay, so the mission and task is real numbers, real costs for franchising your business, and I'm going to be showing you a detailed breakdown. I'm going to share some slides with actual dollars to it, but we need some context here. When we're talking about franchising your business, I want you to think about two stages. We'll call the first one your development stage, and we'll call the second one your go-to-market stage or your seasoning stage. Why are they important? Because they represent two different aspects of becoming a franchisor, two different phases in that initial process. I want you to have this knowledge so we can make smart decisions about where to spend your money, where to cost effectively deploy your capital, and what you should expect. This video is just about the cost of franchising. And if you want a detailed breakdown of the steps and everything that's involved, check out our other videos, and in particular, our 7 steps to franchising your business. Definitely check that out. So let's get into the cost. We're going to go over some hardcore numbers, but I need a reality check. I need to give you some information to equip you here, because as you enter the franchise world, as you explore how to franchise your business, there may be some confusion. You're going to hear terminology about franchise developers, franchise advisors, franchise lawyers, FDD, operations manual, franchise sales marketing. And a lot of times, certain companies confuse or conflate all these issues. And many times that confusion causes you to spend money where you shouldn't, waste capital, or you become a franchisor, you get your FDD, but you really don't understand next steps, or you spent way too much money to get to that stage and you don't have the right capital to start seasoning and growing your franchise offering. So a couple of examples and just foundational items just to keep in context. One, you want to avoid middlemen, or you want to avoid middleman fees. And what are those? It could be a whole host of things. And I'll just share some base information. Number one, what's the difference between a franchise developer, a franchise lawyer, a franchise advisor? Well, the biggest difference is a franchise lawyer, we're a franchise law firm. When you become a franchise, preparing your FDD is the primary task. Going from where you are today to issuing an FDD, a franchise disclosure document. And that document, it's a legal document. 95% of what we're doing is legal, complying with the federal franchise laws, complying with state-specific franchise laws, registering your FDD, advising on the best strategies in your franchise agreements, dispute resolution, all the things in legal infrastructure, the agreements that your new franchisees are going to sign. So that's a critical part of the franchising process, becoming a franchisor. It's legal, and you need to be on the right foundation. Why do I bring it up? Because there are some really great companies out there, and there's some that I don't think are so great. Franchise developers and advisors who tell new franchisors, hey, you need to hire us, not a franchise lawyer, and we're going to franchise your business, and we're going to recommend a lawyer, and they'll do what we tell them. So they almost invert the process and make the franchising process sound like it's really not legal. It's more their advice and advisory services. And I'll talk about that a little more as we get further along. Why is that important for you when we're evaluating cost and budgeting? Because if you go straight to a franchise developer, your costs are going to be very significantly higher. And there's some developers and advisors out there that are great and could be a great value. But you need to know where you're spending your money and is it cost effective? We also see some developers out there that I don't agree with and I don't think is proper that make you think you don't need a lawyer. Where basically many times they're doing the legal work as non-lawyers. They'll try to cover themselves by saying, hey, you should have a lawyer review it, and sort of wink like you're never going to do that. And then maybe you're paying an inexpensive fee, but you now just paid for legal by a non-lawyer, and you haven't built the right foundation. The other thing to keep in mind is there's certain companies out there, they'll cold call and solicit. Be cautious with that. But in terms of cost, also understand that many times you may be referred to a developer or an advisor by a franchise broker or a consultant. Someone who maybe talks to you about selling your business, or someone you have a conversation with and they say, hey, we could help you franchise your business. And then what they really are doing is they're recommending you to a franchise consultant or a franchise developer. That may be fine, but just know many times that consultant and developer, they're marking up their fees. Why? Because they're paying the broker that referred you to them a significant commission. Could be $20,000 or $30,000. So just consider when you're paying the fees to a developer, how much of that is because you were referred by someone else? And is that developer or consultant paying a referral fee? Money that you could have put into your new franchise system. Advice there's great people, great franchise brokers, great developers and advisors. Just ask. If you're referred, are you paying a commission and how much is it? Because you need to evaluate that's increasing your cost. Okay, so we're going to talk about the two stages, development stage, and I'll call it the go-to-market stage. They don't necessarily happen sequentially. It's not like development stage is over and now you have your go-to-market, although it could be. And sometimes these stages overlap, and we'll talk about that. At our firm, we apply a holistic approach. I won't go into it. It's not the purpose of this video, but we focus on legal plus franchise development. We want to be cost-effective about your dollars because just getting your FDD and becoming a franchisor, that's not the end goal. That's the starting point. We want you to have the right expectations, capital-wise and strategy-wise, to succeeding as a franchisor. So development stage, that's the stage where you go from where you are today to becoming a franchisor. It's typically a 90 to 120-day process, and it is predominantly involving development of the FDD itself, the franchise disclosure document, something we work on with our clients all the time. Now, what are some of the costs? I'm going to share this slide and we'll start off with the FDD. FDD development, I'll tell you if we're looking at a range, it's typically $15,000 to $45,000. Now, again, keep in mind, we're talking about FDD development, your franchise disclosure document. I will tell you, it is legal. It's a legal process. You want to be working with a franchise lawyer, franchise law firm that you're super comfortable with, that is beholden to you, hired by you, is not just referred by a consultant or advisor and has, at some affiliation or feels beholden to the advisor, right? You want a firm that works for you as you launch your franchise and know you're legally protected and building on the right foundation. So when we're talking about FDD development, preparing your FDD, why $15,000 to $45,000? Well, that's the range, right? $15,000 could be a lower cost firm that's not as seasoned or as experienced. Or we would see $15,000 if you're spending a lot more money with a franchise developer, say they're packaging all their fees, which they shouldn't be doing, and they have you sign an agreement with their lawyer or their recommended lawyer. Typically, the consultant or developer is marking everything up. They're the ones that acquired you as a client. And because they're referring it to the lawyer, they're looking at the lawyer as sort of just an add-on. And they're looking for the lowest cost lawyer so they can improve their profit. So I wouldn't focus on the 15 and on the 45. There's some really good law firms out there. That's what they charge for FDD development. Again, higher prices don't always mean quality. Our firm, we charge $26,000 typically for FDD development. And it goes beyond our FDD development. It goes beyond legal. In our franchise launch program, we offer legal plus franchise development. We have that expertise working with over 300 franchise brands. So in addition to FDD on the legal end, we're modeling out franchise fees, territory structures, competitive evaluations, and we have some great master classes and other advice to help you get to market and even support you as a new franchisor included in that $26,000 fee. So $15,000 to $45,000, that's where you should be expecting on the preparation of your FDD. Keep in mind there, it's the most critical part of the development stage of becoming a franchisor. And now also, as you enter the franchise world, you hear development, franchise developers. What does that really mean? Well, it means preparation of your FDD. It means preparation of your operations manual, positioning your FDD so it makes sense in the franchise marketplace, right? Something we do with our clients, what's our franchise fees, our royalty rates, our territory structures. What does the competition look like? What are your financial numbers? And some other steps, the ones we're discussing here. So don't let people just package the whole term franchise development, charge you a premium, or charge you a very low rate and feel like you're getting everything, but everything's cookie cutter. Next big item in this initial development stage is preparation of your operations manual. Operations manual, it's your how-to guide for your franchisees, right? A franchisee signs on, hopefully it's on a digital platform, a learning management system, introduces them to the brand, who the management team is, what's our initial training, what's our systems and procedures, approved products and services, supply chain, how do they address issues in terms of technology. The fee there, $0 to $30,000. That's a big range. And how do we get to zero? What you should consider and always know is that when you're dealing with the operations manual, it needs to be a living and breathing document. One of the things that frustrates me so much is I have a client come to us, they franchised a couple of years ago with a developer, like, Charles, I just found out my operations manual is just so generic, right? And we need to update it. Good franchisors, new franchisors, you have version 1.0 of your operations manual when we become a franchise, and then you're going to keep improving it over time based on real world experiences. As you see things in the training process, as your franchisees maybe have a frustration or friction point, update things, put it on a digital platform. It sounds overwhelming. It could be, but just understand it's going to evolve over time. What your operations manual looks like today is going to be much improved 3 years from now. So when I say $0 to $30,000 on the zero end, some of our clients prepare their own operations manual. They really dive into it and they work on consistent improvement with the operations manual itself. On the 30,000 end, there's great companies out there that will come to your location, come on site, prepare a custom operations manual, and that's great too. I'd say my general recommendation would be a middle ground, typically around $20,000. We've had worked with great companies, and again, these are companies that all they do is prepare operations manuals. Why? Because you want a specialist. You don't want someone who claims to do everything and package everything. And typically, we've seen amazing custom operations manuals at the $16,000 to $20,000 range, and semi-custom options even around $13,000. So the key is evaluating your internal resources, your internal team members, and finding the best fit for you. And I know when our team, when we're working with a company that prepares operations manuals, we look for a team that's dedicated, that's all they do, that our clients have achieved success with them, and we don't take referral fees. We just ask those companies to give preferred pricing to our clients, but we're involved in every step of the process. Corporate formation. Well, let's dive here a little. So in terms of corporate formation, as a franchisor, we're going to be setting up a new franchise company. I'll discuss that some more. It's not expensive. State filing fees around $400. And also, we're going to have financial statements prepared. Typical cost, $2,500 to $5,000. And I'll explain those two in some more detail. So as a new franchisor, certainly we're going to form a new company. Let's call it XYZ Franchising LLC. Maybe we set it up in Delaware or a Texas company. We're going to have conversations with your accountant, discuss best state of formation from a legal perspective and accounting perspective from your accountant, and we're going to set up your franchise company. Those filing fees are small. If you have partners, we're going to recommend having a local lawyer prepare a partnership agreement. Once your franchise company is formed, right, that new company is going to be what issues your FDD. Well, for that company, we need to include financial statements in your FDD. And a natural point is, Charles, it's a brand new company. It has no activity. And I agree, I know. But under the regulations, what's going to happen is we need to include an audited opening balance sheet in your FDD, or at least that's what we're going to recommend for many legal reasons. To do that, we're going to set up your company. Your accountant's going to get a tax ID number. You're going to open up a bank account. Maybe you deposit $3,000, $5,000, $20,000, something we'll discuss. But the point here is once that bank account is open within your FDD, we're going to include an audited opening balance sheet for your new franchise company. It's going to have almost no activity in it. It's just going to have the deposit of funds. We need it for franchise compliance. And so, we're going to need an auditor to prepare an audited opening balance sheet. And our estimate here for that cost is $2,500 to $5,000. Sometimes our clients, their accountants could prepare the audit. That's great. If not, we have accountants we could recommend that typically are on the lower side of this estimate, around $2,500 to prepare that audited opening balance sheet. Now, continuing with these costs on the development stage, go from where you are to becoming a franchisor. State filing fees. As a franchisor, and we have videos on this, there's approximately 13 states throughout the country that require a specific registration process. We call them franchise registration states. And this means that we're going to be submitting our FDD to these states, going through an FDD review process and registration process. Now here, when you're thinking about the costs, there's the cost to the state filing fee, which could be as low as $250 to around $1,000, right? On a per state basis, there's only 13 of them. But also you can have legal fees, your lawyers, it's an extensive process. Submit the application, go through review, respond to a comment letter, follow up with the state, obtain registration. Some lawyers may charge you on a per state basis. So your expense here, $250,000 to $14,000. I will tell you it should be in the middle range. Typically, when our clients are franchising their business, again, we could sell in the vast majority of the country. Typically, when they first become a franchise, they only register in about 3 states, meaning you could sell in all the states in the country, and of the 13 registration ones, we typically register in 3 or 4. Good part there is when earlier I shared our fee for franchising your business, that $26,000 fee, we include registration in 3 states in our fixed fee. You only pay disbursements. Use that as a guide. It doesn't mean to work with us, but I'm saying use as a guide. You're speaking with franchise lawyers. You're understanding what's the process. It's not just the FDD. You want to understand that the lawyer is representing you. Also in some registrations, or if not, what's the additional cost, right? That's critical. Also in this stage, because we lumped it together, $250 to $14,000, we're talking about filing fees and registration. So 1 was setting up your franchise company. 2 was registering your FDD in those 13 registration states. Included in this estimate here is also registration of your trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Some new franchisors, you may have your trademarks already registered, and so there's nothing in those filing fees and no legal expense. Our experience is that most new franchisors require trademark filings. And there, we're going to have filing fees with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And depending on the lawyer you're working with, you're going to have legal fees for them to prepare your trademark registration applications. Just as a reference, earlier I gave you our fee for our FDD development, which is our franchise launch program. It's legal plus development. It also includes registration of your primary trademarks. Why? Because we want to package, you want to work with a team, whether it's us or someone else, who understands the process and wants to give you complete visibility. So for us, when someone's working with us, in our estimate here, the cost of franchising your business in this estimate, we're giving a number of between $18,000 to as high as $94,000, right? For many of these steps, our clients, we charge a fixed fee of $26,000, and that's them to get to market. And built into that are trademark registrations, FDD registration, plus our insights and strategy from a franchise development perspective, competitive positioning, and those things. Why? Because we think you should enter the market the right way and have capital to focus on that second stage, which is that go-to-market strategy. Low end of the estimate, I wouldn't consider. High end, you may work with some great companies. Just, if it's a developer, understand you may be paying referral fees built in. You may be paying extra for a middleman, and make sure you're working with the right franchise attorney and you're not being undersold on that. So that's the cost for the initial development stage, becoming a franchisor, about 90 to 120 days. We're talking $18,094. I will tell you, our fee is $26,000, around there. And then if we work with a company to get a good operations manual, say that's $20,000. So you're under $50,000. I think that's a good marker to be at. 50 and under for that stage. Now I'm going to talk about the go-to-market strategy stage. And this next one, for me, becomes critically important for new franchisors, because everyone will congratulate you when you have your FDD and you've become a franchise. And my point there is there's no congratulations in order. It was a stepping stone. It's great we accomplished that goal, but now you need to enter the franchise world, and now we need to start equipping ourselves with important information so you can make smart strategic decisions about how to learn more about franchising, how to sell franchises, onboarding the right franchisees, and all the things in between. And I'll tell you, if you ever check it out, go to our website. We have our Frank Camp conferences and we have our live streams, and they're all built around helping you understand next steps. Why? Because you need to have the right information to spend your dollars wisely. I'll share a story. A great, really nice person, a new franchisor, enters the space. I speak with her, and she'd franchised 2 years earlier. I'd always see her at the conferences and events, and she's really working hard at it. But this person wasn't a client. She didn't really gain any traction in franchise sales. And this isn't an uncommon story. Spent a significant amount of money with a franchise developer, right? Well over 50,000, and I'd say probably 60, 70, $80,000 range. I think worked with a company that packaged everything. We're going to advise you on your FDD, and we're going to advise you on your franchise sales marketing and your operations manual. Thought was doing the right thing. And then, like so many others, became a franchisor, spent a ton of money, and it's like, now what? And maybe got involved in broker groups and worked with franchise sales companies and spent more money, didn't get the right traction. And why? And when we looked at it, and it's a common pattern, they didn't set the right foundation, meaning, yeah, there was marketing materials, but it was generic. Yeah, you had your franchise sales webpage, but that was generic. Things like not having your brand story, not telling your founder story, not understanding your uniques. And so they didn't enter the franchise world the right way. And so you're going to miss out on that opportunity. And something we focus on significantly, we have master classes for our clients and all these other things. But let's get to the costs and get you some hard numbers here. So you have your FDD. What should your go-to-market strategy cost, right? And again, here too, my advice generally is avoid buying all of this as one big package because it becomes generic. And then I'll share another insight. You don't want all of this done in 90 to 120 days. Well, you want your FDD, so you want to be able to enter the franchise world legally and be able to legally offer and sell franchises, but you're going to be learning so much in that first year of franchising. Look at your first 12 months as the seasoning process and that go-to-market development stage. Why? So you could get more insights, have more time, do things the right way, and really get to the heart of what you're offering franchise buyers and understand what's the transformation you offer them. So I'd stay away from the packaging because it's done all up front and it tends to be very generic. So let's dive into these numbers in some more detail. Okay. So the first year of franchise sales, which this could be something we're doing during the development stage, and certainly certain parts are, like, for example, your franchise sales website and things like that. Even if it is done, look at your first 12 months, your first 24 months, look at that as the seasoning process for really building a base, okay? So your franchise sales website, you may start off with a franchise sales page added to your current website, and then down the line, add a separate website that's more immersive. Generally, fees of $2,500 to $15,000. Key there, though, is you as the founder, you need to be telling your story. And it's not so easy to do, and you're not going to feel comfortable doing it right out of the gate, but it's a process and over time. So just keep in mind version 1.0 of your webpage or website. 6 months in, you need to be at version 1.8. And next year, you need to be at version 2.5, meaning you need to be telling a compelling founder story and really locking in on the transformation and value you offer your franchisees. And that's a step that so many people miss because advisors, consultants, either they don't have the time or it's so expensive. You need to immerse in this, and we need to unlock the value in your brand. So $2,500 to $15,000. Franchise brand positioning. Well, this is really for someone to help you with the copy on your initial website. $0 to $2,500, right? Because you may be doing it yourself, or you may help someone with that initial copy, that base copy. We have a great free masterclass. And if you're watching this video, it's all about brand story. And certainly if you put in the comments to this video to get access to it, and certainly we'll get you access to our brand story masterclass at no charge. So low cost there, but you need to do it the right way, and $0 to $2,500. Franchise sales presentation and process, the initial version of it, $0 to $3,000, meaning you may be doing it yourself. Now, what is that process and presentation? Well, when I see a lot of clients show me the ones prepared way back when a developer packaged all of this, it looks generic. So you really there needs to be iterations here, and it needs to be getting better over time. 0 to 2,500, then 0 to 3,000 on the franchise sales presentation. What I'll tell you is actually live in this video, those are probably a little too low. I would probably on the high end of those budget at least 5,000 for each of them. Franchise PR and brand validation. Some people don't need PR, some do. PR generally is not going to get you sales, but what it is going to do is help you build that brand narrative and story. And, an initial run of PR could be as $15,000 to $25,000. Advertising, I'd say 0 to 20,000. Why? Because we're talking about the initial launch phase, say the first 12 months as a franchisor. Why on the zero end? Well, because as a new franchisor, what I'm going to recommend significantly or very strongly is that as a new franchisor, you focus on the organic reach of your brand. People that know you, customers, employees, friends, family, and that's the initial group of franchisees you want to be promoting your opportunity to. So there's a broad range there. And then attending conferences, joining broker groups. I put an estimate there of $5,000 to $10,000. So low to high range, $22,500 to say $75,000, $80,000. An important takeaway is the cost. Focus on the two phases. And don't overpay on one and underpay on the other. The development stage, going to market, being legally ready to offer and sell franchises should take you around the $50,000 mark. Working with the right team, legal, operations manual, smart strategy in your FDD and how you go to market. Then look at the second stage, which is the go to market, I'll call seasoning. That's going to probably start at the beginning because we're going to start thinking about and talking about your franchise sales website and things like that. What you don't want to do is overpay on the development stage and now not have the right capital to develop the right website copy, hire a videographer to come shoot your founder's story, come to conferences, meet with other franchisors. On the development stage, look at that as the first 12 months, because I don't want you spending that money all up front because you're going to get a generic product and you're going to get something that needs to evolve more. But on the development side, we said around 50,000. And then on the seasoning and go to market in that first 12 months, I'll tell you there, our estimate is like 22 to 80,000. You should be spending about 50,000 there. So that first year, going from where you are to being a franchisor, it's probably going to cost you $100,000. And that also means you're actively involved. I think a big takeaway is make it strategic. We've seen people spend that $100,000 all on the development phase. And sure, they claim to include marketing copy and advertising and presentations, but they don't work. You need to evolve. You need to gain knowledge. So a big point that I'm making is let's get you in the franchise world the right way. Let's have the right expectations. And then let's plan on how we're spending that money strategically. Ultimately, franchising your business, that initial period, it's going to cost you around $100,000. Avoid wasting money. Don't spend money. Don't let your money go to middlemen or referral fees and commissions. Let's make the money work for us. Enter the marketplace the right way.